Sarah had always believed that hard work could fix most problems. But standing outside the hospital room, watching her mother sleep beneath the pale lights and quiet machines, she realized that sometimes effort alone wasn't enough. Money was. The doctor had spoken gently, but the words had been clear. Her mother needed surgery soon. Without it, her condition would only get worse. The number he mentioned still echoed in Sarah's mind. It was more money than she had ever seen. Sarah was only 22, a recent graduate who had once been known as the top student in her university. Professors used to say she had a bright future ahead of her. But life had changed quickly. After her father died a few years ago, everything had fallen on her shoulders. Her mother's health grew weaker, and Sarah became the only one left to hold their small world together. She worked wherever she could. During the day, she helped part-time at a small local school. In the evenings, she walked across different neighborhoods, carrying a worn bag full of books, tutoring students who needed help with their studies. Most of the families she taught were kind but poor like her. They paid what they could, sometimes a little late, sometimes with homemade food instead of money. Sarah never complained, but the truth was simple. It wasn't enough. One rainy afternoon, while she was finishing class at the school, her senior teacher called her into the staff room. "Sit down, Sarah," the older woman said, adjusting her glasses. Sarah obeyed quietly. "I recommended you for a private tutoring job," the teacher continued. "The pay is very high?" Sarah looked up immediately. "How high?" The teacher hesitated. "More than what you earn in a month, for just a day of teaching." Sarah felt her heart jump. "That family," the teacher added slowly, "is the richest in the city." The words carried weight. Everyone knew about them. Huge mansions, businesses that controlled half the city's economy. Families like that didn't hire ordinary tutors. "Why me?" Sarah asked carefully. "Because you're the best student I've taught in 10 years, the teacher replied honestly. "And because the boy they need tutoring for is not easy." A strange silence settled between them. "What do you mean?" The teacher folded her hands together. "He's intelligent, but he refuses to study with most tutors. Many of them quit within days." Sarah frowned slightly. "Is he dangerous?" The teacher sighed. "His family is powerful. Let's just say the environment around that house isn't normal." The rain outside grew heavier against the windows. For a moment, Sarah thought about the hospital room again. Her mother's pale face. She didn't have the luxury to refuse opportunities, even risky ones. "When do they want me to start?" she asked softly. The teacher studied her face for a moment. "You're sure?" Sarah nodded. "I need the money." 2 days later, a black car arrived outside Sarah's small apartment building. The driver stepped out and opened the back door without a word. Sarah held her bag tightly as she climbed inside. The city slowly changed as the car moved forward. Small shops and old buildings faded behind them. Wide roads and tall gates began to appear. Eventually, the car stopped in front of something that barely looked like a house. It was a mansion. The driver opened the door for her. "We're here," he said simply. Sarah stepped out slowly, her heart beating faster. Somewhere inside that enormous house waited the student she was supposed to teach, a job that paid enough to save her mother. But as the gates closed quietly behind her, Sarah couldn't shake the strange feeling creeping up her spine. This job might help her. or it might pull her into a world she didn't fully understand yet. The door opened slowly. Sarah stepped into the room, clutching the strap of her worn bag a little tighter. The house had already made her nervous. The long hallways, the quiet guards standing at corners, the feeling that every step she took was being watched. But nothing prepared her for the sight inside the study. There he was, her student. He was sitting lazily in a large leather chair near the window, one arm resting over the back like he owned the entire world. The afternoon light spilled across him, revealing broad shoulders and a tall frame that made Sarah pause for a second. He looked nothing like a student. He looked dangerous. His shirt was partly unbuttoned, sleeves rolled carelessly, as if rules meant nothing to him. Dark hair slightly messy, sharp eyes studying her with open curiosity and amusement. He was easily twice her size, and he didn't even bother standing up. Instead, he leaned back in the chair and looked her up and down slowly, like he was evaluating whether she was worth his time. Sarah felt heat creep up her neck. Playboy, she thought immediately. There was something annoyingly confident about the way he sat there. "Are you the tutor?" he asked lazily. His voice was deep and carried the tone of someone who rarely heard the word no. "Yes," Sarah replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "My name is Sarah. I'll be helping you with your studies." He didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted back to the table beside him, and that's when Sarah noticed it. Her breath caught slightly. A gun, just lying there, like it was the most normal object in the world. Her heart skipped. Is he trying to intimidate me? The thought made her stomach twist. Maybe the teacher had been right. Maybe this house wasn't normal at all. The boy, no, the man, noticed her staring. A slow smirk spread across his face. "First day?" he said casually. "And you're already nervous?" Sarah forced her eyes away from the weapon and straightened her posture. She couldn't afford to look weak, not when her mother was lying in a hospital bed, depending on her. "I'm not nervous," she said quietly. The smirk on his face grew wider. "Really?" He leaned forward slightly, elbows resting on his knees now, studying her with interest. Most tutors, he knew, barely lasted 10 minutes in this room before making excuses to leave. But this girl was still standing there, even after seeing the gun, even after the way he was looking at her. Sarah slowly walked to the desk and placed her books down. Inside, her heart was still beating fast. "You have no choice," she reminded herself. The hospital bills. Everything depended on this job. She turned back to face him, her voice calm despite the storm inside her chest. "Shall we start the lesson?" she asked. For a moment, the room went quiet. Then he leaned back again, crossing one arm over the chair with a soft laugh. "Well," he said slowly, eyes still fixed on her. "This might actually be interesting." Sarah opened her notebook and tried to focus on the lesson. She had dealt with difficult students before, lazy ones, stubborn ones, even a few who didn't want to listen at all. But this was different. He wasn't even pretending to study. He leaned back in his chair, watching her instead of the book she had placed on the table between them. Sarah picked up a pen and began explaining the problem in front of them, pointing to the page carefully. "This equation can be solved faster if you break it into 2 parts, she said, keeping her voice calm and professional. Silence. She waited for him to respond. Nothing. Slowly, she glanced up. He wasn't looking at the notebook. He was looking at her. His eyes followed every small movement she made, like he found her more interesting than anything she was trying to teach. Sarah ignored it and continued writing the solution. Then she felt it. A light touch near her shoulder. Her body stiffened. His fingers had brushed a loose strand of her hair that had fallen forward while she was writing. He twirled the strand lightly between his fingers, almost thoughtfully. "You're really pretty," he said casually. The words made Sarah freeze. A wave of anger rose in her chest. Is he harassing me? For a second she wanted to stand up and walk out of the room. No amount of money was worth being treated like this. But then the image of her mother in the hospital bed flashed in her mind again. She swallowed the anger down. "Please focus on the study," she said softly, forcing her voice to stay calm. "That's why I'm here." He didn't answer. Instead, he kept staring at her. Not the playful glance of someone joking, something more intense. It made her uncomfortable. Sarah shifted slightly in her chair and continued explaining the lesson, pretending not to notice his gaze. But a moment later, she heard the scraping sound of wood against the floor. Before she could react, his hand reached out and grabbed the side of her chair. He pulled it closer. The chair slid across the floor until she was suddenly much nearer to him than before. Too close. Her breath caught. "What are you doing?" she asked quickly. He leaned forward slightly, resting his elbow on the table. Up close, she could see the sharpness in his features, the confidence in the way he looked at her. "Relax," he said lazily. His eyes flicked briefly to the notebook in front of them before returning to her face again. "You said to focus on the study," he added. "But it's hard when the teacher is more interesting than the lesson." Sarah's heart pounded. This job was going to be much harder than she had imagined. But she straightened her back, forcing herself to stay composed. She opened the notebook again and pushed it slightly toward him. "Then prove it," she said firmly. "Solve the next problem." For the first time since she entered the room, a real spark of interest appeared in his eyes. The room had grown quiet again. Sarah was writing the final steps of a problem on the notebook when she felt his gaze on her once more. Not the lazy, teasing look from before. This one was more focused. She finished the explanation and closed the book. "That's enough for today," she said calmly. But he didn't respond. Instead, he kept staring at her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. After a moment, he spoke. "It feels like I've seen you somewhere." Sarah looked up, confused. "I don't think so," she replied simply. He leaned back in his chair, eyes still fixed on her. "No," he said slowly. "I'm sure of it." There was a strange seriousness in his voice now. Sarah shook her head lightly. "You're probably mistaken. I've never been to places where someone like you would notice me." A faint smirk appeared on his lips. "Someone like me?" he repeated. She didn't answer. Instead, she began packing her books into her bag. He watched her quietly, but she only focused on her books. Are those books more important for her than me? He thought to himself. And that alone irritated him. He wasn't used to be ignored. Usually, people tried to impress him, flatter him, or fear him. But this girl, she looked like she would rather be anywhere else. That made him want to push her more, annoy her, see how far her patience would go. But before he could say anything else, Sarah stood up. "Our session is over," she said politely. "I'll come again tomorrow at the same time." He watched her walk toward the door, controlling the urge to break her legs so she wouldn't walk away. Just before she opened the door, he spoke again. "Sarah." She paused. "You sure we haven't met before?" She turned slightly and gave him a calm look. "I'm sure." Then she walked out. The door closed softly behind her. Later that night, Sarah sat quietly in her small room at home. The house was silent except for the ticking of an old wall clock. Her mother was asleep in the next room, weak but breathing peacefully. Sarah sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the contract papers lying on the table. 3 months. That was the agreement she had signed with the family. 3 months of tutoring. The payment was enough to cover her mother's operation and the hospital expenses. But the memory of that house and that boy made her uneasy. His careless attitude, the way he kept touching her hair, the gun on the table like it meant nothing. She sighed and leaned back against the wall. Was this the right decision? She whispered to herself. But deep down, she already knew the answer. She didn't have another choice. The contract was signed. The job had already begun, and for the next 3 months, she would have to walk back into that mansion and face that dangerous student waiting for her there. 2 months passed faster than Sarah expected. Every evening she arrived at the mansion at the same time. The tall gates opened silently, the guards nodded politely, and the long hallway led her to the same study room where he always waited. And every evening, he found a new way to annoy her. At first, it had only been the teasing comments, then the constant staring, then the way he leaned too close when she explained something, as if the chair between them didn't exist. Personal space was a concept he clearly didn't understand. Sometimes he would rest his chin on his hand and watch her like she was some strange creature he had discovered. Other times he would reach over and play with a strand of her hair while she tried to explain something. The first few times it happened, Sarah had been too shocked to react. But now, her patience was wearing thin. "Stop doing that," she said one evening, pushing his hand away from her hair. He immediately lifted his hands in surrender. Okay, that was the strange part. He actually listened. Whenever she told him to stop, he stopped. If she told him to sit properly, he sat properly. If she told him to focus on the notebook, he would sigh dramatically. But he would still open the book and start solving the problem. It confused her. He acted reckless and shameless most of the time. But when she seriously told him something, he followed it. Like a huge, stubborn dog that only listened to one voice. Sarah caught herself thinking that once and immediately shook her head. Why am I even comparing him to a dog? Across the table, he was staring again. Of course, the staring had never stopped. It didn't matter if she was writing, explaining something, or simply turning the pages of the book. His eyes followed every small movement she made. "You're doing it again," she said without looking up. "Doing what?" "Staring." He didn't even deny it. "I like looking at you." Sarah closed the notebook with a quiet thud. "You're impossible." He only smiled lazily. Despite everything, something else had changed during these 2 months. He was actually studying. When she gave him a difficult problem, he tried solving it. Even if he complained the entire time, Sarah couldn't understand why. Someone like him didn't need good grades. His family already owned half the city. Still, he kept showing up to the lessons. And he kept listening to her. One evening, while preparing notes, she asked the question that had been sitting in her mind for weeks. "Where are your parents?" He shrugged without much interest. "Somewhere in Europe." "And they just leave you here alone?" "They're always traveling," he replied casually. "Business meetings." The way he said it made it sound completely normal. "They don't care what I do here?" Sarah paused for a moment. For the first time, she noticed something different behind his usual playful expression. Not sadness, exactly. Just emptiness. The huge mansion suddenly made more sense. All those rooms, all that silence, and just him inside it. But the moment passed quickly. He leaned forward again, resting his chin on his hand. "You're thinking too much again?" he said. "I'm thinking about the lesson," she replied. "No," he said with a small grin. "You're thinking about me." The next evening felt different the moment Sarah entered the study. He was already there, sitting at the table, but for once he wasn't playing with his phone or leaning back lazily in his chair. He was watching the door, watching her. Sarah ignored the strange feeling in the air and placed her bag on the table like she always did. "Open your notebook," she said calmly. "We're continuing the chapter from yesterday." But instead of moving, he spoke. "Why are you doing this job?" The sudden question made her pause. She looked up at him. "What?" "This job," he repeated, leaning back slightly in his chair. "You walk all the way here every evening? You deal with me annoying you for 2 hours." A faint smile tugged at his lips. "Why?" Sarah hesitated. For 2 months, she had carefully avoided talking about her personal life. It wasn't his business, but something about the way he was asking now felt serious. "Just a few more days," she said. He frowned slightly. "What?" "The contract ends soon," she explained while organizing her books. "And then I'll have enough money." "Enough money for what?" She didn't want to answer, but the words slipped out before she could stop them. "My mother's surgery." The room fell quiet. Sarah kept her eyes on the notebook, pretending to focus on the lesson. "So once the contract ends," she added, "I'll be done teaching you." For the first time since she met him, the calm expression disappeared from his face. "Done?" he repeated. "Yes." "You're leaving?" That was always the plan. Something dark flickered in his eyes. He leaned forward, elbows resting on the table. "There are easier ways to make money," he said casually. Sarah looked up immediately. "What does that mean?" He shrugged like it was obvious. "You work too hard, walking around the city, tutoring people, dealing with annoying students." His gaze moved slowly over her face. "Someone like you could make money much faster." The meaning behind his words hit her instantly. Anger rose in her chest. Her chair scraped loudly as she stood up. "I don't need advice like that," she said. She grabbed her bag. "If you're not interested in studying today, I'll leave early." She turned toward the door, but before she could take another step, his hand grabbed her wrist. The movement was sudden and strong. Sarah gasped slightly as he pulled her back. She lost her balance for a moment and stumbled closer to him, too close. "Let go," she said, her voice tense. But he didn't. His grip wasn't hurting her, but it was firm enough that she couldn't pull away easily. "You're really leaving," he said. Sarah frowned. "That's what the contract says." His jaw tightened slightly. For 2 months, he had watched her walk into that room every evening, heard her voice, watched her frown when he annoyed her. And now she was saying she would just disappear, like it meant nothing. "You're strange," he muttered. "I'm not strange," she snapped. "I'm doing my job." He stood up suddenly. Now that he was standing, the difference in their height became even clearer. He was tall, broad, close enough that Sarah could feel the tension in his presence. "You think you can just leave," he said. "I was always going to leave." She tried to pull her hand away again. "Let go." Instead, he pulled her a little closer. His eyes searched her face like he was trying to understand something he couldn't explain. "You're annoying," he said softly. "Then stop calling me here." "That's not the annoying part." Sarah's heart was beating faster now. "Then what is?" His grip tightened just slightly. "The part where you act like you were never going to stay." Sarah's wrist was still in his grip when the atmosphere in a room changed. His words had sounded almost casual, but there was something behind them that made her heart start beating faster. "What if I keep you here forever?" he said quietly. For a moment, Sarah thought she had heard wrong. She stared at him. "What?" He didn't smile this time. "If you stay here," he continued slowly, "then you won't leave and I will be at peace." A cold feeling crept up her spine. "That's not funny," she said. "I'm not joking." His voice was too calm while saying that. Sarah finally managed to pull her hand free. "You can't do that," she said, trying to keep her voice steady, but he stepped closer. "You still don't remember me," he murmured. Her brows furrowed. "Remember what?" "I told you before," he said, eyes locked on hers. "I've seen you somewhere." "You're mistaken?" "No," he said firmly. "I'm not." The intensity in his gaze suddenly made the room feel smaller. "I can't let you leave yet." Something in the way he said it made fear finally settle in her chest. Sarah took a step back. "You're being ridiculous." She grabbed her bag quickly. "This lesson is over." And then she turned and walked out of the study. At first, she tried to move calmly, but the moment she reached the hallway, her steps became faster. Something was wrong, very wrong. The mansion suddenly felt different from the place she had been walking into for 2 months. The long hallway stretched endlessly in front of her. She reached the staircase and started going down quickly. "Just leave," she told herself. "Get outside." But just as she reached the last few steps, his voice echoed from behind her. "Close the doors." The command was quiet, but the reaction was loud. Guards who had been standing silently near the entrance moved without hesitation. The massive front doors slammed shut with a heavy sound. The echo filled the entire hall. Sarah froze. "Leave," he said. One by one, the guards stepped away from the entrance, disappearing into the side corridors like shadows. The house fell silent again. Slow footsteps approached behind her. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "Where do you think you're going, Sarah?" His voice was deep, almost amused. Sarah slowly turned around. He was standing at the top of the staircase, looking down at her. The confident, careless student she had been teaching for 2 months was gone. In his place stood someone far more dangerous. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag. "You can't keep me here," she said. He began walking down the stairs slowly. "Can't I?" Each step echoed through the hall. "You're scaring me," she said while shivering. "That wasn't the plan." He stopped a few steps above her now. "But you were about to disappear again, and we can't let that happen. Right?" The word again made her frown. "What do you mean, again?" For a moment, He simply looked at her. You really don't remember me. I won't be gentle with you then. He dragged her to a room that she was not familiar with. What are you doing? She said. Let me go, Damien Thorne. He paused. What did you say? He said with a grin. Say it again. What do you mean? I said, let me go now. No. My name? Say it again, Sarah. I will let you go if you listen to me. I said, Damien. He gently brushed her hair. Now let me go. You promised to let me go if I say your name, she said. Sarah learned something that day while she was being shackled. It was to never trust his words again.